Hi, and welcome to Tremco Live. We're live in Cleveland, Ohio. Once again, welcome to the broadcast where we're technically distant but socially connected. Pretty excited to be here every Friday with all of you as we continue to grow in the awareness and the viewers. Keep sending in your ideas, keep sending in different case studies that you want to look at because we have many more weeks to fill with content. So I'm looking forward to reaching out to a lot of you. So that's my call to action to all of you right now. Keep sending in those ideas. Keep letting me know how you're winding down your week by watching this broadcast. Specifically this month, welcome to August and welcome to Industry Association Month. So we're very excited to bring that topic here from the whole Tremco Construction Products Group. So once again, you're joining us for Tremco Live, and I am the Director of Building Science, Marcy Tyler. I'm not here. My co-host Paul Hoogenboom will be out. So once again, single-handedly representing all the different brands, the solutions, and services and people, as you can see through the whole construction products group. In a couple weeks ago, we talked a lot about energy and energy conservation in one of our presentations. And so we wanted to just kind of touch back on some of that content that we had before. So if you were familiar and you watched that broadcast, we just wanted to kind of highlight to everybody those trends in the construction industry. And that was our reason to get together with everybody on these Friday afternoons, was to bring to you those construction trends. And of course, energy and being efficient with it is definitely one of those trends and is a hot topic and has been for many years. Lots of different resources of information out there, lots of different programs that are occurring from coast to coast. So we have Realize in California to Retrofit in New York. And I did mention previously Better Buildings, which is a new program that just started in June from the Department of Energy. So lots of ways that we can look at being more energy efficient, lots of ways that we can engage in the industry, and also a great opportunity for us to talk specifically today about the Industry Association, EIMA. With that, I would like to welcome Scott Robinson to the broadcast.
Hey, thank you. So my name is Scott Robinson. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for the EIFS Industry Members Association, a job I've held for 9 years now. Wow.
Time flies when you're having fun. That's what they always say, right?
I think right now. I'm looking at actually everything that you've got up here, like, oh.
I know, I'm nothing too crazy. I didn't listen to Wayne Lloyd, so, and everything he wanted me to post.
I would say that in 9 years, you get to meet a lot of people, and even like Wayne, who's bounced around a little bit. I mean, he's someone I've known for probably 8.5 of them.
Yeah, it was interesting for me. I left Tremco to go home and raise my kids. And when I came back 10 years later to the same company, there were so many familiar faces that were still here. I feel like that's so true about this industry too. We get involved, we stay involved, and it's really great to have relationships, and having industry association like the one you represent, I think is a key part of that and how we can educate the industry too.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, that's one of the key components, I think, of the association, that the goal really is to fill in the gaps from all of our members, that there's things that you can obviously do better than we can, but there are partnerships and alliances that we have that probably are more difficult for companies to achieve, such as, national coalitions, your chemistry council, your international code council, your some of those folks. So it's helpful. It's a great working relationship. And then you have things like this that allow us to talk to some more people that maybe we typically wouldn't, and further that education and information.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a key part of it, is just being able to spread that awareness. The Sealant and Waterproofing and Restoration Institute is going to be on in a few weeks. And back at their winter technical meeting, there was a gentleman that presented. His name was John Lambert, and he was from Stone Restoration. He did a presentation on EIFS, and he said, how does everyone pronounce it? And so I'm telling everybody to go to the Winter Technical presentation archives from SWRI and check it out. It was pretty interesting. He did a geographical representation of how people pronounce it. So tell me, before we get going, how should we be pronouncing that?
It is definitely pronounced EIFS, not EIFS or EIFS or some of the other things, but yeah, it's like EIFS, like briefs, EIFS.
EIFS like briefs, which is perfect because that is a perfect segue about the EIFS briefs. So nice way to remind people of that. But yeah, so all kidding aside, John Lambert did a great job of just doing that geographical representation of how people represent. A lot of times, if I was uncertain, I would just spell it EIFS. You know, so, but yes, from a long time ago, I always said EIFS. So it's pretty cute that they said that. So obviously, lots of information, lots of educational aspects. But let's talk about the basics and the beginning. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so EIMA was founded in 1981. Truly by I think the leading manufacturers were the original ones, turned into the member association. We've got everyone from the manufacturers at the top, associates are your suppliers, so your Dow, your Ad4s, essentially everyone that has a component of the EIFS system is a member. And then you look at distributors, architects, contractors. We have other allied organizations that we partner with a lot, whether it's the wall and ceiling organizations across the U.S. or, again, your American Chemistry Council, International Code Council, and some organizations that we really helped, and some of the foundation that are some of your DC lobbying groups. And from there, the main point of the organization is back to filling in gaps that some of our members either realize that they're not able to address or looking at ways that we might be able to advance and grow the industry from a non-sales position, but from providing education and the information and looking largely at what tools might you all need that we have the ability to create.
So providing that platform for collaboration, right, and then filling in the gaps and the holes. What I've always found that's interesting with EIFS is just so many different things you can do with it. So I took a few pictures, took a liberty here of adding a few pictures from your website, which just shows that those applications, right, commercial, residential, renovation, and restoration. So the versatility there is endless. And I love the fact that this organization is so collaborative because it does give everyone that format and that ability to get together, talk about different things, and then also cross-collaborate to all those different industry associations you mentioned as well.
I think that's right. Well, and the one that you've got listed for commercial EIFS projects is, I think it's New Mexico State University. And I mean, that's a college building that just shows all of the different things you can do with one system.
I remember a long time ago going to, I think it was somewhere outside Orlando. It was probably in Disney. And that's, I think, one of the first times, a long time ago in the 90s, getting educated on EIFS. And then I did a couple of projects together with some colleagues in the industry in Virginia. So I learned pretty early on about it, but it's definitely the different finishes and the capabilities and all the different ways that we can build. And that's why I thought that residential alone and some of those restoration projects and renovations that really make older buildings that maybe aren't, well, they definitely aren't energy efficient, bringing them up to being energy efficient, but also being able to keep some of those characteristics that you wouldn't anticipate from this type of technology. Yeah. Things that look like wood, things that look like metal, but then giving you the energy efficiency along with it. So it's incredible. So I know we wanted to include this just to kind of level set everyone that's watching and engaging today. So not only do we want to educate you on how to pronounce it, EIFS, just some more information about it. Why don't you talk a little bit about this slide?
Yeah, so this is from an image that we had created with a guide that we offer now. After what we learned, we're online, there were all of these different iterations of what EIFS could look like, and about a majority of them, I'll say, were either outdated or were not recommended. And even recently, which is why I really put this up, at the end of March, there was a real estate agent down in Atlanta that went on to give this overview of EIFS and talking about how it was created in the 1980s in Atlanta, which is not true. And he held up a sample and he started to point to it. It turned out that it wasn't even EIFS, that it was a stucco system, didn't have insulation, had wire mesh instead of reinforcing mesh. And so I note this, and we throw this around everywhere, that really highlighting that all of these components need to be included for it to be EIFS. If the insulation isn't there, it's not EIFS. If there's no mesh, it's not EIFS. So here's an example, very generic, our technical committee. So all the manufacturers ended up working with this. So it is a, your generic industry approved look at what exterior insulation and finish system would be.
That's great. Yeah, and I do think there's a lot of confusion maybe, or just perceptions of what is or what isn't. And I know a lot of people talk about insulated stucco, and when you look at their assembly, they're actually using EIFS. So I know you see that too, I'm sure, that's a good, right? It's an insulated facade, which we do want to focus on for sure. So,
and I think that's the thing. We're not going to, well, obviously we'll always say that EIFS is the best, but it's not like there aren't other great alternatives out there. Now, I think when it comes to your CI conversation and energy efficiency, just so happens that we have the easiest solution to all those problems. That by design, EIFS is continuous insulation. There's a reason that, well, for that matter, for Dryvit, why they were using the original continuous insulation, because it is.
Yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I have been having Dryvit become part of the Tremco group, and being able to have all those colleagues that I've already been working with in the industry who are now coworkers. So it's been great. Speaking of industry collaboration, and you just mentioned it, the next week's host is Craig Wetmore, and he has a flashing company, and he talks about, whenever he does training, is he gives all these different technologies and he shows all the different technologies, and he talks about physical properties, attributes, features and benefits. And just like you mentioned, there is, features and benefits and attributes that are recommended for each of these systems, but we need to be able to install them appropriately for them to work. So just like you said, there is other systems out there. There is other ways to do it, but educating everybody on that proper installation, giving those technologies the ability to work appropriately for your structure is probably the key point in all of this, for sure. And which is why education through industry associations like the one you represent is so important. And we come to this slide, which I think is great, because I think just these few words says a lot about what your message is today and your call to action to everybody that's viewing this broadcast.
So yeah, the whole idea of single message, many voices, is that EIMA has the ability to help create that message. And now through all of our members, we can expand the number of voices that are tied in. So if you think that, thinking of some from the next slide, that we may have data from research on energy efficiency, we create that message through our communications committee and then start to funnel it out. We have hundreds and hundreds of people that will all be saying the same thing. And again, you talk about trending and getting things across many spectrums. Like, this is the one way to do it. That think about the industry, that collaborative voice, and then everyone starts to use that as they move ahead. And if we all truly do this as we plan with every topic tied to each, there's going to be nobody in the end that's not talking about it.
Yeah, it's so critical. And obviously with that, providing that single message through the many voices of the members and that raising that awareness in the industry, you guys have created the toolbox. So there's a lot of different things that you guys have created to help with that messaging.
Yeah, we ended up, one of my coworkers ended up coming up with this idea that over the last decade we've completed the Oak Ridge National Laboratory research with Department of Energy that essentially showed EIFS outperforms every other exterior cladding when it comes to the combination of moisture and energy efficiency. We looked at some different market research, looking at who are the actual targeted audiences. We looked at your mesh, your insurance, advocacy, fire, and we had created all these different documents. And during a meeting, she threw it into an orange folder and showed everyone as the idea that this would be your generic toolbox. So as part of that, we grouped everything together even more. And as part of that research, we came up with this EIFS, a hero hidden in plain sight, tested with architects and other members. And as part of the educational component, we started to look at a generic EIFS versus stucco and EIFS versus brick, which are probably the two most popular. And obviously, as part of this, in that message that everyone started to share, we released the hero video.
Yeah, so we'll show that here in a few minutes, but we've got a couple questions coming in right now about this information in this toolbox. So is this information, the first question is this information available on your website currently?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, so it's not what we're going to do is we're starting to revamp different components of our website to make sure that all the information is appearing in different spots. But right now, you'll largely find it under EIMA initiatives. Certainly on the hero page itself, we've grouped everything, and technical tools and testing will have information on Oak Ridge especially.
Okay, perfect. And another question is, if there's something that they're looking for specifically, like if there's a comparison with a different type of facade or some technical question that they may have, is there a place on your website where they can submit a technical question?
Not right now. It's actually a conversation that EIMA is having in terms of the benefit with that. Largely the technical questions we'll still receive. They actually typically come to me. We've noticed that tends to be one that they go to the specific manufacturer with.
Okay, so if they were on the EIMA website right now and they wanted to submit a question, would that be the course of action? They just submit it directly to you then? Yeah,
they could. We have our contact information on there as well, and we do have a generic email which tends to come to me anyways.
Okay, perfect. So do you utilize the generic email to send in any of the questions that you have, and then just a recap on this information that it's available on the website. And I already forgot, you mentioned where it's located on the Hero. Is it the Hero section?
Yeah, on Hero, it's got where all the information is.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got you'll have a contact us page, which you'll actually have our staff all pop up with contact. So.
Perfect. Okay, and I know we did just all receive a new brief, an EIFS brief. So how often do those come out was the next question.
So we're doing bi-monthly. You get EIFS briefs, and it largely anything that we need members to know about that are not time sensitive, or the random updates from the industry that people might be able to see from us that they're not going to hear somewhere else. We did start at the beginning, unfortunately during the pandemic. We had so many resources that we thought might be helpful with some states closing down, with contractors needing some additional. We started doing a bi-weekly resource series too, with essentially targeting different membership categories. So we just did one of the architect ones, which includes panel, some of the technical information. So we're trying to step up a little bit more, and we've got a couple things too that we'll probably be launching in the next month or two that'll help, I think, further expand on that.
Perfect. And then the EIFS briefs, are they something that you post on social media or send just to members? Is this like a members only?
It was for a while, and then it got to that point of we're creating a message, so why wouldn't we want everybody to see it? There's nothing private in there. Frankly, most of the news is good anyway, so we'd rather have everybody talking about it. But yeah, we'll post it around social media. It's on the website, every back issue. I think for probably the last 9 years it's up there.
Okay, great, perfect. So let's play the Hero video. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll play it right now.
Do you see? It's all around you, hidden in plain sight. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Heroes protect. They insulate. They're resilient. They often exceed your highest expectations. So where is this hero hidden in plain sight? Look no further than the perfect exterior wall. A perfect wall is efficient, aesthetically flexible, and incredibly durable. Have you seen this hero? Probably so. Although some might question whether a unique design can be achieved while still meeting energy codes and sustainability, professionals in the exterior insulation and finished systems industry know the solution. Best-in-class thermal and moisture control, continuous insulation, infinite design possibilities, unmatched energy efficiency, above standard environmental sustainability, hurricane resistant, and fire tested. The Department of Energy agrees that EIFS is the best performing wall system. EIFS, one fully engineered, tested, code compliant system, supplied by one source, installed by one contractor, warranted by one manufacturer. Do you see it? It's all around you. A hero hidden in plain sight. EIFS buildings are everywhere you thought they weren't, providing more than you ever thought they could. Let EIFS make you a hero.
Pretty incredible. I took a few notes when I watched this. So best in class thermal and moisture control, provides continuous insulation, infinite design possibilities, and unmatched energy efficiency. It's just some of the descriptors that are used throughout here. So it's pretty incredible. Pretty exciting to have this video done. I'm sure this was something that you guys had worked on and are equally excited to have that to be able to share in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's got, I want to say 35 or 36,000 views now in the last couple of years. So it's definitely the most popular we've had. But again, it's a video we put out, and immediately upon its release, we had members reaching out to add it to their website and everything and so on.
That's great. I think it just really does express that the universal capabilities of it and that truly functioning performance wall, from the continuing insulation to durable, what else did I write here? Environmentally sustainable, hurricane resistant, fire tested. So I think it just kind of goes on and on and on with the capabilities for sure. So another thing that we wanted to talk about, obviously, you as you were working as industry out there being advocates, so there's a victory in Texas we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, so I throw this as clearly the largest victory we had in terms of advocacy, I would say, outside of getting EIMA into the codes in 2009. Texas, obviously a large state, many counties, many jurisdictions, truly the brick capital. We had worked with some of the local wall and ceiling groups down there on one-offs. We had a couple victories. We were constantly educating, and we had probably just picked perfect timing that we were about to launch what we called Take Back Texas with some of our members down there. We had our annual meeting in Houston, and the moment we got ready to, a bunch of other organizations had the same thing on their mind, and they were getting ready to introduce legislation down there to essentially eliminate a locality from being able to pass a law that went further than the national model building codes, which we believe are substantial codes, and that, you know, if you're approved into that, then that should be really the baseline. So we worked with just about everyone from AGC to ABC to the home builders. Vinyl siding was part of it, and we were able to get legislation passed and signed that essentially permitted the use of EIFS and others in, I think it was 237 jurisdictions afterwards. So there were essentially 200 plus that were all wiped out.
Wow, that's incredible. So as we look further and towards the future, tell us a little bit more about being the EIFS craftsman.
So we've looked at, you can call them a contractor, a plasterer, an applicator, a mechanic, and we've gone back and forth with some of the contractors, and they really looked at the job as being one that they wanted to promote, in the fact that you're more than just, we have to evolve beyond, you're just going to stand outside and you're troweling a finish on. So we started internally calling it a craftsman, trying to show that these are artisan skills, that you're truly building a legacy. You're creating something that for years and years to come, people are going to walk by, and whether or not they know it's EIFS or not, you're looking up thinking, wow, it's a really gorgeous structure, or some of the others that this is amazing looking. And so we headed down the path of an EIFS craftsman, and this began the conversation of, hey, EIMA needs to take more of a leadership role with contractors. So we added a contractor to the board of directors. We launched a contractor committee. We started targeting some other organizations at that same point, and really tried to expand our contractor membership, which we've got a couple initiatives that I think we're getting ready to launch now that could frankly double our contractor membership moving forward too. So this is really I'd say that overall, I think pride is a good word, that a couple contractors told me that they were third generation. They remember sitting around the dining room table, having dinner, having their dad talk about, you know, what a great job they had, and we really don't have that anymore. And so we're trying to bring a little bit of pride back into the position.
Yes, definitely. I think overall in the construction industry, right, that's what we're all looking at, is that labor force, that skilled labor force that isn't being replenished on a regular basis. So this is definitely a great way to do that. You talked about a lot of different committees that there is out there as well. Is there any kind of call to action that you have for members or anyone watching that wants to be a member that you'd want to kind of express to them?
So on this one, it's simple, and this is it's so important for other people because it's one thing we can't do. We have an aging workforce. We all know that. We not only have an aging workforce, but we do not have a very diverse workforce. I think women make up 10% currently. And so you've got your Women in Construction Week, and you've got a growing interest. But what we truly need are people to share this type of information, show that, hey, there is a career path out there. There's a very successful career path too, that it does not start and end on a ladder against a wall. Like, you really can go in different directions. The other component is that the society we live in is based on a high school education and a college education. And not that there's anything wrong with that, and I will always love my time in college. We do need to create the opportunity that involves trade schools and shows individuals that there's another path, that they could end up going down this, and that it's a really respectable career. And it's one that you should be just as proud of as if you get a PhD or if you end up owning a construction firm eventually. So what we look for in members is if you have a connection and you want your contribution to be that you're going to go into a history class or some other high school class and just give a tutorial on, here's an opportunity, that's what we need. Because I don't know the teacher outside of my hometown, but someone in Cleveland, Ohio, who may really be open to the idea, will help supply the presentation and tools if you help make that connection.
Okay, that's a great call to action. I think that's a great one for this, our whole industry in terms of getting out there, educating trades, and really promoting that. So we'll definitely take that one on. We do have a question that just came in. It says here, does EIMA have anything with mineral wool? And if so, where? Information on mineral wool with EIFS.
So we don't have anything on the website right now. I caught it and I looked real quick to see if we had a statement.
Oh, look at you're more multitasking than me.
There's certainly, I think it's one of the growing conversations right now. It's similar to how panelization became one of the really hot topics a couple of years ago. There is work being done on that. It's not on the website right now. I don't have information on what a policy statement or the specific code language is for it. But there are certainly some challenges that exist, and there are certain benefits too that I think people are starting to highlight.
Okay. So targeting the future, the EIFS industry wants you. I think we've probably talked a little bit about this already, but I think it's important to kind of reiterate all of this information. Yeah,
and this is, so we've taken, a year ago, we took the approach that, hey, the labor force is aging at an incredibly scary rate. 41% of the current construction labor force will likely retire in the next 10 years. You take that, you accompany it with the fact that it's not a very diverse workforce, and we have a big issue. And I think that for a lot of individuals don't really want to buy into it right away. And then if you have them, you just challenge them to look at their own company and age everything out, knowing that we're only, I think 16% of the industry is made up of that much younger bracket. And they quickly realize that there is an issue. So we've started to partner with Build Your Future, Skills USA, ACE Mentorship Program. The first and third really target the getting into high schools, educating more on trade school opportunities. Build Your Future even has trading cards that, like your baseball cards, that give you all of the stats on the back for possible salary, job opportunities. They launched, and I wish I had it, they have a video for Women in Construction Week, and it's the most powerful video for why someone should get in the construction industry. So I certainly encourage everyone to watch.
You know what? Maybe that's a future segment that we could do together, just based on Build Your Future, and really promote education, women in construction, trades, becoming craftsmen. So Now that we got this figured out, Scott, we're going to do this all the time.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that we've started to expand on with that is obviously the pandemic resulted in many people becoming unemployed. And what we realized were that not only are we going to continue to target the younger generation, but there's an argument for individuals who maybe work in a restaurant and are not going to go back to the restaurant industry. Well, this is another opportunity that may be drastically different, but maybe that's what people are looking for right now too. So we are going to start to launch a campaign through the contractor committee to really look at giving people another option for a career. And maybe this is the time that you want a career change. So we are completely revamping that B&H CRAFTSMAN page with some new information as well.
Perfect. So I think a lot of what you were talking about is what's next, right? Different calls to action, different things that we're looking at to engage in the industry and get more people involved for sure.
Yeah, and I would say the only additional thing is, because I did mention most of these already, we are retooling the website, and one of the components will be education. That we were, I'll say, a couple months away from saying anything. We've got the EIFS 101 course that we recommend anyone who wants to just know the generic components of EIFS. It is with AIA, but we are looking at a couple other, I'll call them training education components that EIMA will start to release soon, that, you know, further trying to make sure that we have the most equipped workforce possible.
Great. And I know I speak for Tremco and for Drive It that we will be excited and happy to participate in any way that we can as you start to look at different education options, virtual trainings and whatnot. We'd definitely be able to participate there. And what we wanted to make sure we reiterated as we come to a close here is that we are really excited about our capabilities of doing testing with you, the organization, and the whole industry with our new thermal chamber. So we've been having a lot of excitement at our testing facility, so can't wait for you to drive over from Medina, New York, right near my alma mater, University of Buffalo, to come check this out one day soon. So we had to bust up a wall to get that inside our facility, Scott. So it's pretty intense, and we wanted to be able to explain it to people. You know, how big is that chamber? So we thought, could we measure it in terms of different units of our products, right? So could we use an ICF form unit? Could we use a Diamonic 100 sausage? Could we use New Brick as our measuring element, you know, different Tremco products? Could we use XOR 230 buckets to express how big this equipment is? And I even volunteered to be a prototype to measure out that the size and capability of what we'll be able to test. In the end, we chose to use the Nudura ICF form units and the XOR pails to kind of demonstrate it. So a little misleading in our picture, but it is a very large piece of equipment. It's 15 feet tall. In this picture, it's not 25 feet wide at the time. It'll get wider, and you can see on the picture there the track on the floor as it opens up to allow bigger assemblies, wider assemblies get into place. So that is that fully extended unit. And then in the middle there is where we put our test bucks. So pretty excited about working with you guys, working with the EIFS industry, working and being able to demonstrate thermal resistivity. This thermal environmental chamber for air and water leakage and thermal really completes the trifecta of what we wanted to be able to test. So we are looking forward to doing more work with you and the whole industry. And we want to thank you for joining us on our broadcast today. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
And we will definitely have you on again in the future. So everybody, just so you know, this is Industry Association Month. So next week we have Craig Wetmore from the representing the Air Bear Association of America. The next week after that, we have Kelly McBride representing the Sealant Waterproofing and Restoration Institute. So we look forward to engaging with everybody in the next couple of weeks. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining us.